You're listening to Radio 107.6 FM, broadcasting live and direct from the Bobbers Mill Community Centre, and we are now going to go straight into the Tech Clinic. So let's bring in Brother Ghufran Shah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Brother Yasar. How are you doing this evening?
I am alhamdulillah fine, and it's great to see you once again.
Likewise,
here.
It's even greater to see you as well. The voice of youth, live and direct, 107.6 FM.
Jazakallah, if you say so. Let's get started with the question. We've got plenty, haven't we?
Yes, lovely. Beautiful questions. Thanks for the beautiful listeners for the questions that we're allowed to say on air and the questions we take offline as well. So alhamdulillah, thanks for your support out there.
So, first question, what is a Slingbox?
Okay, Slingbox. I like this question because I had one of these many, many years ago.
You had one?
Yeah, I used to have one.
Wow.
A Slingbox really allows you to control your home TV from anywhere in the world, from any device that's connected to the internet.
Okay.
So you can control your TV from your laptop, your smartphone, your iPad, etc. What this really is, it's a device which plugs into either your cable receiver or your Skybox,
Yep.
or your DVD or media player. It takes an input, and then it plugs into your internet as well. So you can literally then control that box from your mobile device. So
Right.
if you're into watching TV and watching lots of videos, then you can use this device to, and you do a lot of travel, of course, and you can use this device to connect to your home library and even your home TV. You can go to slingbox.com and you can purchase it from there. So what's so amusing?
Nothing.
It's a funny name, Slingbox, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for that, Brother Ghufran. Let's move on to the next question, which is my laptop screen.
My laptop screen is really dim. What could be the problem? Yasser, do I need to replace the laptop? Well, don't replace your laptop, dear brother or sister, yet. Check the obvious, and sorry for stating this, but sometimes common sense should prevail. Maybe you could try increasing the brightness. There's on laptops, you might have to press a function key and one of the F keys,
Yes.
to increase the brightness and decrease the brightness. So maybe somebody in your family, or you've accidentally decreased the brightness. That could be one solution. If it's not that, then it could be the display is going faulty, or the video card is going faulty. So one thing you can test, I think, is try plugging your laptop into an external monitor and seeing what the display is like there. If it's dim on the external monitor as well, then it could be the video card. But it needs some further diagnosis, I think.
Definitely.
Mm.
Let's move on to the next question. My computer's running slow. What steps can I do to fix it?
My computer is running slow, so need really more information here. But one thing to check is how much capacity you have left on your hard drive. Maybe your hard drive is just filling up. Maybe you need to do some housekeeping by removing some junk, removing some old files. That's one thing you can try.
Yep.
If you've got limited memory, then maybe it's now a chance to increase the memory on your computer. Or
Okay.
maybe you've been compromised with the insertion of a virus or some spam. So try doing a full antivirus sweep on the computer as well. But some things to check is the space on the hard drive. And maybe if it's Windows, start to boot in safe mode and see how it performs there. Maybe you've installed some applications recently which has caused a degradation in performance. But
Okay.
we need some more information. So
Definitely. Next question then. When was the first computer invented, the spec of it, and what could you do on it?
all right. So when I saw this question, well, when I read this question rather, I immediately thought of Mr. Babbage. Doing some further research, the word computer was actually first recorded in 1613, and you know what it was used to describe?
What was it?
A person who performed calculations or computations.
Ooh.
So that definition of that term computer was referring to an individual, and that remained so until the 19th century, when it started to refer to a machine that performed calculations.
Okay.
So in about 1822, Mr. Babbage, Charles Babbage, people may have heard of him, he began developing what's called the difference engine, which is thought to be the first automatic computing engine that was capable of computing several sets of numbers and making hard copies of results. But due to lack of funding, that project didn't actually take off. And then in around 1936, Germany's Konrad Zuse, in his parents' living room, He invented the first electromechanical binary programmable computer. We talked about binary last week, the ones and zeros. And with that, it had a 64-word memory. Each word contains 22 bits, so not a high spec at all compared to today's standards. And a clock speed of 1 hertz, not gigahertz, it's 1 hertz. 1 hertz. And to actually program that Z1 required the user to insert what's called a punch tape and a punch tape reader. So you may have seen even punch cards with holes in them, which represent ones and zeros. And the output was also generated through punch tape.
Wow.
So it goes back to the end of the 19th century. More people will be more familiar with the PC, and the PC actually first came out in 1953 by IBM. But prior to that, there was the Z4 came out, and then we had a number of devices produced by various companies. But the main, I suppose, first personal computer was launched by IBM in 1953.
Yeah.
Okay. And here you are today with smartphones and wonderful gadgets we can even wear on our eyes via Google Glasses.
There you go.
So, is that evolution in the computing world?
I guess.
Yeah,
definitely, and it's moving quickly, isn't it?
It is. I think we're almost saturated. What's next? I think we're moving into the virtual reality by the glasses. So.
Well, it's coming. I mean, anything that you saw in the films maybe 10 years ago is pretty much happening, or has already happened.
Yes, the whole Star Trek thing. So is the Earth really slowing down? I'm not sure, but maybe if the Earth does slow down, that will indicate the feasibility of time travel for mere mortals like ourselves. We know the Prophet ﷺ could do time travel. He when the miraculous night journey, so it's not impossible to do time travel at all. So, so maybe one day Yasar will be saying "Beam me up," and we'll be broadcasting on the moon.
Maybe, inshallah. I might not be around until then, but
inshallah,
never know. Right, next question. What is the purpose of the BIOS?
Okay, the BIOS has been around for years. It's the basic input-output system, and it's a piece of software that resides on your motherboard, which allows your computer to actually start up. So when you power your computer on, the computer actually tests itself via the BIOS to make sure all the devices that are connected are present and working.
Okay.
So prior to loading the operating system, the BIOS kicks in, and it enables the motherboard to recognize all these various devices. So the BIOS performs a power on self-test called a post, and it checks your processor, the memory, your video card, and other devices to make sure they are functioning correctly. Once the BIOS has completed its tests, it then passes control to the operating system. If you don't have an operating system, or if your hard drives are crashed, then the BIOS will say, cannot find operating system. Okay. Now the BIOS is slowly being phased out to something called enhanced firmware. So, which is more like an intelligent type of BIOS. But we won't really get into that, I suppose.
Cool. Next question. I want to set up a media sharing between all computers, laptops, TVs that I have in my house. How would I go about it?
Okay, so again, here's a bit more information. I'm assuming the person has a Windows environment or a number of Windows devices. So the process is similar if you have different platforms. The term heterogeneous is a word for Yasar, which means different platforms or different types of devices. But let's assume we've got in this person's household, they have a number of Windows devices. So it's quite easy. Let's assume they've got Windows 7, even Windows 8, Windows Vista. They all have a Windows media server. It's a piece of software that's installed with the operating system. Yep. It's there, it's free. So you just need to go into the Windows 7 media server. Now, prior to that, your devices need to be networked. So if you've got a Wi-Fi network, so you can allow your remote devices, your phones and your iPads and your TVs even to talk to your computer. So having a home network is a must. And then having one PC running Windows, and that PC will have all your media stored there.
Okay.
And by media we mean your audio files, your video files, and all your movies. So you install the media server. So you can find that through Windows Media Player, and you can turn on what's called media streaming. There's a setting there. So once your media streaming is turned on, that software points to your drive or your partition that contains all your media files.
Yeah.
Once that's been enabled, you've actually shared your media. So you can point to specific folders on your directory on your machine which contain all your files. Once that's been set up, your devices which are going to connect to your media server must support what's called DLNA. It's a standard, and you'll see devices like your Xbox and your PS3 and lots of media streamers support this protocol.
Okay.
A lot of the TVs nowadays support that protocol. The TV should, as long as it's on the network, the TV will see those particular folder you've actually shared automatically. You point to that, and then you can just browse through it and start playing your media. So it's the important thing is having the actual media server set up, and then your actual client, your Xbox, when you fire that up, for example, you'll see browse media servers, and you'll see your PC with all your files that have been shared.
So smart TVs have DNA compatibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the devices now do. Most of the media streamers you can buy. One of the very first shows we spoke about media streamers, and I mentioned this Dune player, which can share across the network. Samsung TVs now, in the smart apps, they can point to media servers.
Okay.
Pretty much all HTC handsets can. The iPhone, on the other hand, needs to have your stuff stored in an iTunes compatible library.
All right.
Okay. But
for DNA, can you get I'm just asking this out loud now. Any sort of like USB sticks? Like you see some old TVs that have like USB ports on them. Can you get anything to connect it to make it, media sharing?
Not really media sharing. You find some TVs, some of the not high spec TVs, they may have the ability to play media off a USB, namely audio and music. Some TVs will struggle to play video. Some TVs will, if they have a network port in them, you can plug in a network cable. You can make the TV Wi-Fi enabled via a USB dongle.
Okay.
I've not come across any USB dongles which will make your PC DLNA compatible.
Cool. Okay, super. Next question we've got here is there a mobile handset which has a projector of some sort built into it? And if there is it any good?
I was going to ask you that question. Have you seen one?
Yeah, there's a Samsung handset.
It is indeed. It's called the Samsung Galaxy Beam. Came out last year in July. It's
Is that the only one?
That's the only one that I've seen.
All right.
There was a picture floating around a few weeks ago with someone produced an iPhone video with it looked very cool with a projector. That was just a dream somebody concocted. But this Samsung Galaxy, it does have a projector. I think it's more of a gimmick, to be honest, because for it to work, it has to be pitch black dark. It has to be really, really dark. You have to turn all the lights off, and it only projects VGA quality, so not HDMI. It's quite expensive, but it's like a typical Samsung Android-based handset with all the various apps, and it has a 15 lumens projector. So it's only VGA compatible. Okay, so it's not going to be doing HD. If a person wants a projector, just go out and buy a normal projector, and they're quite affordable now. They can be affordable. You can spend some silly money on them depending on your requirements if you want full HD and 3D. Yeah. But for VGA, I think they're really really affordable now.
So Projector Phone, just a gimmick. Stay away.
Yeah, cool. But save your money.
Good. Right, next question, second to last. What sort of hardware would I need to build a really powerful gaming computer?
Okay, a really powerful gaming computer. It's certainly possible, as long as the person knows what the main parts of the computer are. So you could, let's say you want to set yourself a budget of, say, £1,000 for a really kind of high-end gaming computer. So some of the things you've got to consider is have one spec could be, as such, have an i5 processor with a 3.4 gigahertz.
Right.
That might cost you in the region of around £150. A motherboard which can take that processor and an i7 moving forward. You've got to have a CPU fan to keep the temperature of the motherboard down.
Sure.
Have a high-end video card, GeForce GTX, pretty good at the moment. At least 8 gigabytes of RAM. RAM is quite cheap now. You can go to crucial.com and you can see some really good prices on RAM.
Okay.
Must to have an SSD drive to minimize the boot up times.
A solid state drive.
Yeah, solid state drive. They are expensive, so maybe you just want to have a 150 gig or 130 gigabyte drive for the operating system to boot up. And then you've got your main drive, that could be 1 terabyte, 3 terabyte, whatever, which is more affordable with your applications installed. You can get lots of different styles of cases, have a pretty powerful power supply, and go for the standard DVD readable writable optical drive. Maybe you can go for a combined Blu-ray, and putting that spec together, that would cost around £1,000. To actually buy a computer with that spec, you almost double, at least 1.5 times that particular cost.
Wow.
Okay, so depending on your budget, start off with an i5 processor.
Yeah.
If you want the extra processing power, then go for the i7, and maybe bump up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, but the core components of the motherboard, the fan, and video card, that's what will make a machine a killer type of machine. Might want to go for 2 video cards if you want to plug in two monitors. Okay,
Two video
if you're really into your gaming, some other motherboards will support two cards. For the ultimate, there's a spec I saw earlier on, i7 processor, Asus Sabertooth motherboard,
Right.
2 video cards, 16 gigabytes of RAM, that's 2 8 gigabyte chips, and then 256 solid state drive with a 2 terabyte hard drive. That's coming in at about £1,500.
Wow.
It's always cheaper to build your own, but then you've
Yeah.
got to be okay. You've got to know what you're doing. Last thing you want to do is not be earthed properly or make a mistake and break one of the pins on your memory,
And everything's gone.
and you damage everything. So know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry,
Right.
doodle.
Doodly doo. Final question. Are there any apps available to share stuff between an Apple iPad and a Galaxy tablet?
I've tried this, and you would have thought Bluetooth would be a common standard that all devices would speak.
Yeah.
From some phones to some phones, you can transfer files via Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Apple's Bluetooth is really for connecting accessories.
Okay.
So it's not doesn't work that well when you try and transfer media via Bluetooth. There are some apps available, but I found them really cumbersome. The best way to share files is use a file sharing service like Dropbox. Get a free account on there.
Yeah.
So whenever you have some media, it could be documents or some media files on your Dropbox account, they'll be accessible on all your devices, your Samsung and your iPad, etc., even your iPhone. So that's probably the best way to share
To
files.
have it in sync and share it.
That works really well. It works really
Okay.
well. So with my HTC handset, because it doesn't support PhotoStream, and all my Apple devices are kind of PhotoStream aware, I just use Dropbox. And the features on the phone now are so cool where they automatically upload to Dropbox whenever you take a picture, for example.
There you go.
And the beauty is once it's on Dropbox, all the other devices sync with that as well. Okay. For things like notes, there's something called Evernote, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Evernote, you can take notes on a device, and it synchronizes that particular note with all the other devices. So it's a more powerful notes-taking piece of software.
Very nice. Very nice.
Okie dokie.
And that's all the questions.
Yeah, cool. We finished on time.
We've
Are
finished.
we going to have a caller this week?
Seems unlikely.
We've lost hope of having live callers.
Yeah.
Geeks don't call in.
Geeks don't call in.
Yeah.
No, nerds don't call in. Geeks do call
Yeah?
in. But I think we've got more nerds than geeks.
I wonder, is anybody actually listening to us? Can we just have somebody give us a blank call to say that we have great listeners? Maybe everyone's in bed.
Everything in
I
bed.
don't know.
Chillaxing.
Yeah, chillaxing. Okay, well, lovely to see you again, Yasar. Been wonderful.
It's great to see you again.
Yep. And Assalamu alaikum from me.
And Assalamu alaikum for me.
Okay.
Alaikum
Assalam.
assalam.